Let's begin. Today is June 4th, 2024, and we're doing the Daily Turing Machine Puzzle. Today's puzzle uses 6 criteria cards and it's 6 verification cards. Let's go to turingmachine.info for the details. So today's puzzle uses the following 6 criteria cards. Criteria card 3, 10, 12, 18, 19, and 22. And above you'll find the unique identifier for today's puzzle, which you can always go on to turingmachine.info and search for it to get more details. Let's go solve. Alright, so in our grid above we've got our 6 criteria cards. On the top row we got criteria card A, criteria card B, and criteria card C. In the second row we've got criteria cards D, criteria cards E, and criteria card F. If we look at criteria card A, that card will let us know a little bit about the middle digit, the squared digit, and as we're comparing it to the number 3. So should the value of the squared digit be less than 3? Should it be equal to 3? Or should it be greater than 3? Criteria card B looks at the 3-digit code and will let us know how many of those digits should be 4. Are there no 4s? Is there 1, 2, or possibly all 3 or 4? Criteria card C will look at the first and last digit and compare them. So should the triangle value be less than the circle? Should they be equal? Or should the triangle value be greater than circle? Criteria card D will take a look at the 3 digits, triangle, square, and circle, add those values together, and the Turing machine will let us know whether that sum should be an even quantity or an odd quantity. Criteria card E will look at the first 2 digits, triangle and square, take their sum and compare that to the number 6. So should the sum be less than 6? Should it be equal to 6? Or should the sum be greater than 6? And finally, criteria card F will tell us a little bit about how the 3 digits are structured. Are the digits in an ascending order, increasing as they go, as in the example 135, or are they descending, getting smaller as they go, as in the example 421, or is there no order to the digits, as in the example 231? That example, since it has no order, the reason it's defined as having no order is that it goes from 2 to 3, so it increases, but then it goes down from 3 to 1. So that decrease makes it have no order. And remember, our objective is to find this one unique code, 3-digit code, that abides by the criteria cards that we've just described. And we're going to start off with our proposal of 314. So I think the first thing I want to test is whether the sum of the 3 digits is even or odd. So I'm going to test criteria card D. Okay, so the Turing machine responded that it does not approve of my proposal. So if you take a look and we add up all the digits, so 3 plus 1 is 4, 4 plus 4 is 8, that is an even quantity. So the Turing machine is telling me, no, the sum should not be even. In fact, it should be odd. And so that's what I'm going to put down in my notes in section D, that the sum of triangle plus square plus circle is an odd value. So what that could mean is that I'm going to have a pair, but not necessarily equal. What I mean is 2 identical, again, I apologize, not identical, but 2 evens and then an odd, or potentially they're all odd. The reason is whenever you add 2 of the same type of number, that sum is always an even quantity, but I need that 3rd digit to be an odd so that the total sum stays odd. Okay, so again, we're looking at something that maybe has 2 evens and then an odd, or potentially they're all odd. And so let's take a look. We do have this criteria card that will let us know if we have a 4, but that means that, again, I'd have to have two of them. Well, if I have one of them, that's an interesting point. If I do have a 4, then I know that there has to be another even. And let's see, we know that we can't have 3 evens because that sum is even. And if I do have a 4, 1 4, I know I have to have a 2. So that's an interesting dilemma to test whether that's true or not. I think what I'll do is I'll test first, or as my second test, I want to see the sum of triangle and square and see what we get there. So that's criteria card E. Okay, so if I take a look at my proposal of 3, 1, 4, the first 2 digits add up to 4. So the Turing machine is telling me, nope, the sum is not less than 6. So my sum is 4 here in my example, but that means that the sum is not less than 6. So that means that triangle and square have to add up to be exactly 6 or greater than 6. So I'll put that in my notes for section E. So triangle plus square is either equal to or greater than 6. Which kind of brings us back, well, let's see, hold on. Before we continue, is there anything we can cancel? Yes, I believe we can cancel, well, hold on. If it's equal to 6 or greater than 6. Yeah, I don't think I can actually cancel anything because at a minimum, if triangle or square are 1, well, let's see. Yeah, I could always add it to 5 and get equal to 6. So yeah, so technically I don't think I can cancel out anything. And which leads me back to this idea of if there is a 4, then perhaps the sum is equal to 6 and I have a 2. But that's a rather risky proposition, but I think I'm going to go and take it. So I'm going to query criteria card B, especially since I do have a single 4. So let's go ahead and test B. Okay, so I think our risk paid off. So this does mean that for criteria card B, that there is at least a single even. Sorry, I apologize, a single 4. So there is a single 4. Okay, so that means I do have a 4, but now in combination with our criteria card D that tells us that the sum is odd, that means that there has to be a 2, right? It definitively means it's a 2. Remember, we do need to have 2 evens. Since there's only a single 4, the only other alternative is that there's also a 2. So I'll say, let's see, should I put it? I think I'm going to put it here in these notes that there is a 2 and then and an odd. Okay, so I have a 2 and a 4. Now we are done with our 3 tests, so we're going to move on to the constructing of the new proposal phase, and we're going to talk through, alternatives and possibilities. So now that I know there's a 4 and a 2, I do have this sum, which potentially could be a 6. So I'm looking at triangle and square adding up to 6. And notice that criteria card A potentially could, tell us which even is in the square. Is it 2, which is less than 3, or is it 4 greater than 3? So that means I could have 2 and 4 in some order for triangle and square, which means that then the circle has to be odd. Okay, and the other thing that we have not tested would be the ordering. So we could have, ascending as in 2, 4, 5. We could have descending as in 4, 2, 1. And then, other kind of combinations where the order, there is no order, and somehow our criteria card C will kind of force us to some odd value for circle. So we could have, let's see, if it would be 4, 2, I don't see it being 4, 2, and then 3 or 5, because both of those, well, actually, yeah, okay, I could see 4, 2, and then, yeah, either 3 or 5 based on, the triangle value, right? You could have 4, 2, 3 or 4, 2, 5 based on that. Yeah, let's see, but what about the alternative? What if it was 2, 4? Yeah, similarly, it could be 2, 4, 1, or 3, depending on criteria card C. And so let's go ahead. I want to test 2, 4, 1. Let's go ahead and test 2, 4, 1. Okay, so I'm going to assume, or I'll deduce, that the sum is 6, at least for the time being. So let me go ahead and test criteria card A. Okay, so yes, we do have, since my value in my proposal is 4 and the Turing Machine approves, that means yes, square has to be greater than 3 for criteria card A. So let me go ahead and put that in my notes, that square is greater than 3. And so that means that square cannot be 1, 2, or even 3. Okay, again, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's even, but we're getting closer. And let's go ahead and test criteria card. Well, can we? Yeah, there's still so many open possibilities. I don't think it's safe to deduce at this point, because I'm not sure it's even a 6. So what if it weren't a 6? That would mean that 4, well, could 4 and 2 be on top and bottom? Oh wow, I hadn't even considered that. Let's see. Let's go ahead and test criteria card C just to see what we get. Okay, so the Turing Machine does not approve of what I have chosen for my triangle and circle per criteria card C. So notice that in my proposal, I've got triangle greater than circle. Okay, so I don't believe it could be equal, since again we only have a single 4 and a single 2 and an odd, so it won't be equal. So I'm going to deduce then that triangle has to be less than circle. So for my notes for C, I'm going to deduce that triangle should be less than circle. Triangle should be less than circle. Okay, yeah, so currently it's greater than circle, so it should be less than circle. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that circle can't be a 1 and triangle cannot be a 5. Okay, anything else? Remember, we do have a 2 and a 4. Yeah, and so triangle, 2 can either be triangle or circle, and 4 could be either triangle, square, or circle. Let's see, anything else? Triangle has to be less than circle, yeah. As long as triangle could be 5, triangle could be any of those values. Yeah, I think that's all I can eliminate. So the question is, yeah, I think what I'm going to do, let's see, if I would go back and test E again, the sum, and ignore the ordering, what could happen? So obviously it can't be 4, 2. We know that much. If it were 6, that is. So if it is 6 and it's 2, 4, could circle be determined? 2, 4, and then what would circle be? Circle would have to be odd, so it's either 3 or 5. So it would be 2, 4, but because circle has to be greater than triangle, how would you, I don't think you'd be able to differentiate between 3 and 5. Well, I guess technically the ordering will tell you, right? So 2, 4, 3, no order. 2, 4, 5, ascending. So how many of those possibilities are there? Wow, I think there's just too many possibilities, and I'm afraid I'm just going to have to go to a third round, albeit maybe a quick one. What about, we know that it's not less than 6, it's got to be greater than 6. So the only greater than 6 would be 3, 4, 2, 5, 3, 5, and 4, 5. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go ahead and test 6 again. I think there's just too many possibilities. So I do have my 6 here, so we'll know whether it's greater or equal to 6. So I'm going to test E. Okay, so I was correct. It is 6, and it's got to be 2, 4. That's the only possibility. So let me go ahead and cross out everything but the 2 for triangle. And since it is 6, I'm going to cross out the 5. And so yeah, so now it comes down to either 2, 4, 3 or 2, 4, 5, depending on criteria card C. And so I'm just going to go with 2, 4, 3. And we're going to test criteria card F. And so yes, that is correct. So let me go ahead and cross out for circle everything but 3. And I will say that in my notes here, since my proposal has no order, that's what I'm going to put for my notes here, no order. Okay, and so there it is, 2, 4, 3. And I believe, I've labeled all my notes. I guess technically let me cross out the greater than, since it is equal to 6. And yes, 2 is less than 3. right, I think we're ready to go to the turingmachine.info and confirm our solution. So let's take a look. 2, 4, 3. Let's verify. Fantastic. But let's see, did we beat the Turing machine? Well, we did do it in 7 tests. That's one more than criteria cards. But let's take a look. So in the first turn, we did BDE, and then ACE, BDE. So B was correct. D and E were incorrect. And then we did ACE. And I believe C was the only one that was incorrect. And then when we finally tested F, that was correct. So let's see, how do we do? Okay, so we tied the Turing machine, but that's always a win. So I think we did well. I think looking back at what we had here, we had a good mix of checks and X's. We made some excellent deductions. I think we did have one sort of aha moment when we took that risk when we tested criteria card B, and so I did enjoy that part because it was a little risky, but it paid off, and I think this was a great solve. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to be notified of the next video, make sure to subscribe and you'll be notified. And if you found if you have any suggestions, please add them to the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. Well, that's it for today. I hope you have a great one.